the historical relationship between India and Russia, which is actually a continuation of the erstwhile USSR, continues to be as firm and as on firm grounds as it was all these years, all these decades. There's a lot of signaling in this. For instance, yesterday's interview, which was given to an Indian media, which is also a signal, Putin, who would wax eloquent and give long interviews to Western media like BBC and other, has given a pretty long 1.5 hour, first time for Indian television media which has seen such an interview.
Prime Minister Modi's statement where he said, once again reiterating that we are on the side of peace and obviously you're not being neutral. So this seems more of a statement for the world more than just Russia, isn't it? Hello and welcome. I'm Srini and this is Talking Sense with Srini. We're discussing Russian President Vladimir Putin's India visit. We saw Prime Minister Modi breaking protocol to receive the Russian President Vladimir Putin at the Palam airport in Delhi last evening. Both leaders held meeting this morning and a joint press briefing as well in the afternoon with a lot of announcements. They're joining us to decode all of this is our editor-in-chief, Mr. Srinivasan. Thanks much indeed for your time, sir. Yeah, well, the bonhomie between Prime Minister Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin was quite palpable. Do you think this particular visit would be irking the United States? We don't really have a reaction from their end.
Well, this visit is not planned to actually irk the United States. I mean, if we start looking at that way, it will be very difficult. I think certainly there will be a lot of messages for the entire globe. And this meeting between the two leaders, world's biggest democracy, India, and Russia, which is a powerful nation which has emerged out of the shadows of USSR, it both will be seen very carefully. The whole world is going to look at it. But it doesn't mean that, we are particularly anything, this is being done to send, a particular signal to United States. But certainly, US is going to look at this meeting very, very carefully. This meeting is important in many ways. Mm-hmm. This is perhaps the 10th visit of Russian president to India. Yeah. But this is most significant of all others because both the countries, both Russia and India, face pressure from United States right now. Mm-hmm. US has imposed sanctions against Russia for the Ukraine war. And they have imposed a kind of thing on us for purchasing oil from Russia. Now, India has stopped almost buying oil from Russia now. In a way, that should satisfy America, but it will still be looking at it closely. So the expectation was whether Russia would be frowning at India for doing this. But yesterday's bonhomie and the meeting between the two leaders, the body language and other things did indicate that nothing of that sort has happened. Mm-hmm. The historical relationship between India and Russia, which is actually a continuation of the erstwhile USSR, continues to be as firm and as on firm grounds as it was all these years, all these decades. So that's the one first message from this. Now, it will really depend now what kind of arrangements or what kind of deals we strike with Russia. That is what America would be very closely looking at.
That's it.
And this, the world will also look at what is the kind of a global relationship emerges because currently Russia is pretty close to China. It never was so close. Yeah. So it's pretty close to China. And China and America are also having a certain tension over trade. And, though they have tried to paper over that and they have some deals, but still there is a tension between the two countries. China is certainly trying to emerge as another pole, global power. It is already in many ways, but it is certainly trying to emerge as a major player in geopolitics. Now you have our immediate neighbor, Pakistan. Yeah. So you have also to look at how Afghanistan sees. So this whole visit is important from a geopolitical angle, mm-hmm. from Indo-Russian trade, and our own strategic interests, safeguarding our own strategic interests.
What do you think India stands to gain most from this visit of Russian president?
If we are looking at various aspects, so A is trade. I think today there is, in the joint press conference, they made a declaration that we should take India's bilateral trade to about $100 billion.
That's right, yeah. By 2030.
Yeah, 2030. So that's one target. Currently, if you see, there is very little trade from India to Russia. Very little exports we do. Largely, we're import dependent, and that too, a major portion was oil now.
Yeah.
So about $65 billion we are gone, and that will again reduce now. So obviously, we need to look at areas with the two nations where they can improve the trade. Can we diversify some of the trade, which kind of got affected because of our tariff imposed by Trump? Can it be diverted to Russia? I mean, that's one possibility of looking at it. Therefore, manpower exports, India is talking of sending more people from here to Russia for work. Second is services exports. Is it some kind of a collaboration can happen in IT and IT enabled services? A Russian president yesterday in an interview spoke about the possibilities of harnessing artificial intelligence in various research, specifically medical research. So he says that's an important aspect. And as an example he gave, for instance, he was giving, look at the birth rate in India,
Yeah.
or the death rate in India. The social indicators have been improved thanks to the improvement in medicine and technology. So I think there are multiple areas in which they are looking at. Another major area is energy. India, since it is growing fast, it requires a lot of energy. And with the climate change happening, where do we go for energy? Because renewable energy is expensive, and fossil fuel has already reached its limit. It is causing more emissions, and therefore there is a worldwide campaign to reduce it. So where does this fuel come from? So the obvious is going nuclear, and the world is more moving towards nuclear. The earlier inhibitions about harnessing nuclear power has kind of diminished now. Even a country like Germany, which is totally opposed to nuclear power, is going nuclear. France is always nuclear, and it is increasing its nuclear power. Even Japan is using nuclear for energy purposes, for raising.
That's right.
So India would be very keen to see the possibilities of what cooperation we can do to improve our energy situation. As of now, if you have to look at, we are 8 megawatt of power we get from nuclear energy, and half of that, 4, comes from Kudankulam next door in Tamil Nadu. So, and that is a Russian plant. So therefore, there are possibilities if we can get more. That's what he was yesterday talking to at a press conference. He was saying that we are one of the biggest exporters of nuclear power plants, and we can certainly help India in that. Then there are purchase of arms. India requires stealth aircraft. India requires better tanks. We have T-72 tanks, T-90. We are talking of further enhanced tanks. We are also talking of whether we can get better ships, frigates and other things, submarines, nuclear-powered submarines. All those things are on the table. So there is a wide scope of possibilities. Even now, despite us diversifying our arms purchase from Russia to other countries since 1987, consciously we have tried to diversify to other European countries, for instance, France, for instance, Switzerland, for America and all that. Still, 2/3 of our arms come from Russia. We are very much dependent on that country. So, again, we have diversified, but yet, since we need a lot more, we'll be exploring, India will be exploring what are the things we can buy from there.
Indian media was expecting more of a blockbuster deal on defense, but we didn't have anything like that at the press conference this evening. But is it something that they chose not to reveal it at this point of time?
Well, let's wait and see. I mean, I really, these details may take some time to. There could be some last minute glitches or last minute things. Maybe there are things which are still being worked out. We will soon know about all this. But certainly yesterday in the interview, Putin talked less about these issues, but he spoke more about energy, about development-related issues. As of now, that's what he's talking. So possibly these things will come up. We'll still have to wait the final, I think the visit is still Sunday. We'll get a clear picture in a day or two.
Yeah. With bilateral trade heavily skewed by Russian crude oil imports, which is and Indian firms now dialing down imports due to the U.S. sanctions there. How sustainable is the Putin's target of reaching $100 billion by 2030?
Well, that's a question which they have to answer. See, this diversification has to happen. So, what are the kind of possibilities? How to diversify the trade? What are the kind of things we can export to Russia? What are the kind of things we can import from that country? Those are the issues which the details have to be worked out, and that's what will happen following his visit. I'm sure the officers from both sides after this meeting. So signaling happens at a higher level. The two top leaders have once established this as the target. I think now it will be followed up by bureaucrats and see how best they can do to improve the trade between the two countries. The other thing is, he today I think he also talked of trading in our own currencies.
Yeah.
So those details are yet to know, because earlier our trade was rupee ruble trade. We didn't take the and barter. Those are the earlier instruments. But then from there we went to dollar, and then the other trade. So the he didn't say directly any answer to de-dollarization, but he's certainly saying that look, our two currencies need to work in favor of each other. So again, I think the indication is we need to improve the terms of trade. We need to improve the trade in a manner that it benefits both countries, and also sends a signal that Southeast Asia is or South Asia is particularly important. There's a lot of signaling in this. For instance, yesterday's interview, which was given to an Indian media, which is also a signal, Putin, who would wax eloquent and give long interviews to Western media like BBC and other, has given a pretty long 1.5 hour. First time for Indian television media which has seen such an interview. So obviously his projection is probably he's trying to give a signal that South relationship is important for me. That's a new
And he's
area.
also going to start a channel, Russia Today in India.
Yeah, so basically these are all strong signals. So to say that look, we are dependent, no, so we are
More of a
in
soft
in
power.
this interdependent world, we are expanding our scope, and it is not just West. We can look at other options also.
One last question there, sir. This all conversations happening on the backdrop of the Russia-Ukraine war. We had the U.S. delegation there trying to get that agreement between Russia and Ukraine, but we don't really have a reaction from the U.S. as well on this. But seems to be there's no big breakthrough from the Russian side. And I wanted to focus on Prime Minister Modi's statement where he said once again reiterating that we are on the side of peace and obviously not being neutral. So, this seems more of a statement for the world more than just Russia, isn't it?
Well, this is not for the first time Modi is saying this.
Yeah.
Actually, he said it earlier also when there were serious discussions going on between,
Whether India was sitting on a fence and
interlocutors.
so on. Yeah.
Yeah, so India, Prime Minister Modi has made this earlier also clear that we are on the, clearly we want peace. And this is not for the first time he's saying. But saying it on Indian soil when visiting a dignitary here is obviously important. So this is also kind of a kind of thing to him that we just because our relationship with Russia is strong, continues to be strong, we stand by them, both countries support each other, but on issues like this we will certainly continue to point out that look, the war is not good for anyone and that should come to an end. See, there is obviously a signal to the rest of the world is also the fact that it is not as if we have completely forgotten our self-interest in that. And it's also a signal to probably to America that it did not look at everything in a very alarmistic way. That India still has its feet firmly on ground, and it takes decision and it says things
In its self-interest.
in its self-interest. So it's a kind of that assertion as well. And yesterday in that interview, a particular interview television channel, even Putin made it very clear that you see India is not the same nation which it was 77 years ago. It's a far more developed nation and far more evolved nation than it is, and no one can actually treat it the way they think India cannot be treated. It's not anybody's this thing. So it's a big country and with a powerful leader. He in a way shouts and applauds on Modi also, saying that he knows he has his mind of his own and he takes decision in the interest of the nation. So I think he also understands that all these statements, all these global discussions are being made in a certain context. And he also made it clear that, look, the strengthening of relation between India and Russia doesn't mean that we are against any third country or it's some kind of a thing against, say, USA. It should not be seen like that. And he made it clear that as well.
Thank you very much, sir. Pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.